So Sean Hannity decided to say something about Joe Biden. And the thing is, even before Hannity said it, I'm pretty sure all of you noticed it too. Biden was kind of running on all cylinders just for a moment. After all, he is an old engine, but somebody had to have done something. Somebody had to have done something to Biden. Now, look, there's many times where I'm going to disagree with somebody like Hannity on a treasure trove of issues. But, I think we can agree. Hannity calls Biden jacked up Joe over hyper-caffeinated. Oh, listen, Hannity. He wasn't hyper-caffeinated, okay? He was hyped up. But anyways, Fox News host Sean Hannity dubbed President Biden jacked up Joe on Thursday night. Hey, Hunter, did you hook up your old man? On Thursday night, after what he called hyper-caffeinated State of the Union address, painting a sharp contrast to former President Trump's derisive nickname of Sleepy Joe for his likely 2024 rival. Tonight, America saw, let's say, a very different Joe Biden. I might call him jacked up Joe, and that's being charitable, Hannity said on Fox News following the speech. He sounded like a hyper-caffeinated, angry old man. I don't know. Maybe. Biden spoke for more than an hour before a joint session of Congress, often shouting at Republicans over issues such as abortion and border inaction, and repeatedly calling out his predecessor Trump without naming him. The president also sparred with MTG, you know me, over Lincoln Riley, a Georgia college student who police say was killed last month by an immigrant who entered the country illegally. Hannity argued that Biden used the speech to lay out his radical wish list for America, and that his speech was so hyped up it was bizarre. Please listen, conservative viewers, Trump supporters, libertarians, just as a favor for me, okay? When conservative media is calling Biden progressive or socialist or anything, please don't associate Democrats with me, okay? I'm politically homeless, okay? Don't associate those people with me, please, okay? Radical wish list. He's never going to do anything. Okay, he's part of the military-industrial complex. Okay, I mean, look at how Biden treats AOC and Bernie. Trust me on it when I say it. There's nothing radical about Biden. All right, he's nobody I wanted, and there's nobody in the Democratic Party that I want. Okay, please just don't associate me with those people. He quipped that, unlike Biden, he would not be shouting for a whole hour of his post-address show. The conservative commentator has long criticized Biden, 81, for his age and mental and physical competencies and performance as president. He said the State of the Union address was so at odds with everyday Joe that it was frightening. So let's talk about this. Let's actually talk about this. Let's actually bring this up here. Because here's how it started. Biden was all hopped up on something for the State of the Union address. No surprise he's peddling the same lies as usually. Ukraine won't beat Russia no matter how much money we send them. Putin doesn't want to invade all of Ukraine or Europe. Trump wants NATO members to all spend the same percentage of their GDP on defense. These lies are intended to keep the war machine going. So let's talk about this. But before we do, I just have to pull up this tweet. I have to because it makes sense to me. And I, for one, have to agree with this one commentator on Twitter. It makes sense. It does. It does. Okay. Right here. Just got to pull this up here. Thank you, computer, for working with me. So here we go. We got Anti-War Misfit who wrote, since when is caffeine the new street name for meth? Let's have democracy in the chat. All right, and I'm going to choose the numbers. Look at me. I'm the captain. Type 5 for a Kit, you awful man. You awful, horrible man. You horrible human being. You awful, awful man. Joe Biden was coordinated. He had 2 cups of coffee, and he was ready. He didn't need anything. Type 6 for, he was on that meth. He was on that Walter White, Jesse Pinkman train, okay? He was in their trailer, cooking up that special blue. I wonder how many 6s we'll get in the chat. I wonder.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now.
Oh, God.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, "I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment."
Yes, we're led by a senile old man, and all the while, the world is on the brink of World War III. Now, here's the thing, folks. I know there's some people saying, we got to stop Putin and his fascism. We got to stop Putin. Here's the thing. Russia's got nukes. We got nukes. And World War III won't be fought like all the other conflicts before. No, this war will eventually lead to somebody pushing that shiny red button that says nuke on it, okay? And there will be no great reconstruction. There will be no great rebuilding of society, because once those nukes launch, more nukes will launch, and then more nukes until humanity has been vaporized, and the survivors will envy the dead. And what remains of humanity will be a shell of what it once used to be, a husk. And we will never get back to this point of civilization, because most of the world will be truly uninhabitable. Most of the world will be toxic. It'll be a wasteland. That's the truth of it. There will be no great reconstruction. So, believe me when I say this, we have to have diplomatic talks immediately before all is truly lost. But yet, we're ruled over by sociopaths who profit off of war.
In the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact,
even though Zelensky did say, hey, your sons and daughters are next. Even though there's been so many desperate videos by Zelensky saying, give us money, give us money, give us money. And what's happening on the front line is a stalemate right now. And of course, there's now talk about another counteroffensive. I mean, not to be an armchair general, but I think military tactics 101, military strategy 101 is you don't really tell people when you're going to do a counterattack. You kind of have to keep that like a little bit of a quiet, you know. Like, you got to keep that hush, hush, hush. You have to keep that on the down low so your enemy's kind of caught off guard. But then again, hey, we live in a day and age of so much information that people don't really even stop to consider what they're saying anymore.
There are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now,
I wonder if Biden will ever say, Mr. Netanyahu, tear down these walls surrounding Gaza. Nah, I'd probably never do that. Probably never do that. He'd only say tear down those walls as Israel starts building more settlements in Gaza. That'll probably happen with the way things are going, because after all, there's now talk of a port being built in Gaza that will be run by the USA. Tell me, folks, Tell me, what does Reconstruction look like? Because it's abundantly clear what's happening there, Mr. President. And Democrats and Republican politicians, Gaza's being wiped off the face of the earth. People are dying in the thousands. I wonder all this energy towards Putin. Okay, and I get it. I get it. Hey, people are hypercharged. They're angry. They're emotional. Where's that same energy for the people in Gaza? Oh, that's right, non-existent.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want."
When did he ever say that?
That's a quote.
Hey, you also told Netanyahu, hey, stop it. Please stop. Please stop genociding. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Democrats can't use the G word. Just tell that to AOC.
A former president actually said that bowing down to a Russian leader, I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
That was a hypercharged Biden. That's a Biden that I'm not familiar with. That's a Biden that I don't really understand that well. That's a Biden that, well, I'm willing to bet is probably taking a very long power nap after that State of the Union and maybe getting, an IV filled of ice cream into his veins because that's the only way he could truly function. Was our president on something? Well, it's always been hinted that a lot of these politicians, especially these older politicians, they have access to gold-plated healthcare, something that you, the American citizen, will never have access to. They have access to a lot of doctors and physicians because their corporate donors want to make sure that their prostitutes, I mean, their politicians, boy, why did I say that out loud like that? Are functioning well. And so they'll give them whatever they need in order to make sure that those puppets, I mean politicians, boy, second time, I am so sorry for that stutter, that these leaders, sorry about that, okay, that these leaders, that these elected officials, quote unquote, are still able to write legislation to benefit them. So Hannity bringing up this fact of Biden maybe on something, it wouldn't surprise me. After all, Dianne Feinstein, before she passed away, she had a handler helping her, telling her how to vote yes and no on bills. But yet, I remember a lot of vote blue, no matter who, people saying that, oh, Feinstein can handle herself. She's a strong, independent woman. She don't let her age fool you. But yet, she didn't know where she was at. These are our leaders. That's the president of the United States of America. Compare Joe Biden's other speeches throughout this entire year. Never once has there been a hypercharged Joe Biden. Was he on something? Probably yes. Probably yes. In order for him to be coherent enough. But like all things that hype you up, there is the withdrawal. There is the cooling down process where what was once was keeping you up and active starts to dissipate and you start to slow down and become Sleepy Joe.